Well, good morning, everybody. When I was growing up, from about the age of being in fourth grade all the way through high school, I was an altar server. And I guess I'm still kind of an altar server of sorts, but all the way through, I was altar serving, and one of the cantors at my home parish, he'd always say hi to me and bye to me after Mass, but he didn't know my name, even though he thought he did. He always thought my name was Adam, but it took me about 4 or 5 times of him calling me Adam for me to realize that he didn't know my name. Now, I'm in 4th grade. Number one, I didn't want to have to correct an adult, but also after 4 or 5 times of someone calling you by the wrong name, I felt pretty awkward in correcting him now, and so for about 10 or 12 years, I just let him call me Adam. Well, I go off and eventually become a priest, and it's tradition that after you're ordained a priest, you come back home and you celebrate your first Mass at your home parish. And guess who was singing at Father Andrew's first Mass? Let's just say it was an awkward handshake at the beginning of that Mass. I want to talk today about claiming our identity, claiming our true identity. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Those are the words spoken over Jesus at his baptism. Those words spoken from God his Father before Jesus has done a single thing. He has not begun his public ministry. And yet at this point in his life, his truest identity is being made clear to him and clear to all. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This God-given identity spoken over Jesus is the very same identity spoken over each and every one of us at our own baptisms. We are God's beloved children, his beloved sons, his beloved daughters. To be God's beloved sons and daughters means that we are willed, we are wanted, we are loved, we are known before there was ever a single thing we could have done to achieve that. Our truest identity as Christians is not something we seek to achieve, rather it is something that we receive from God our Father. And yet we know how easy it can be to, one, doubt this love that God has for us, or to begin building up other identities for ourselves, to begin living from lesser relationships, making other things primary when it is the love that God has for us which is meant to be the primary thing in our life. We can begin to identify by what we do, or by what we have, or by what we desire. And there's certain truth to each one of these, but they aren't the fullest truth. Because there creeps into these other made identities a certain amount of fear. Will I ever actually do or achieve enough? Will I ever have enough? Will I ever be loved enough? For us as Christians, while all of those might be questions we have, we always want to root ourselves in our core, in our truest identity. That before there was ever a single thing that we could do, God has claimed us as his own. We are God's beloved children. You know, as we walk through life, there are so many times in which we might have different identities. We might feel as though different things are making a claim on us. But do I know the love of God? Because as we do, we can start to carry a bit of an orphaned spirit. The sense that I'm not enough, that I don't have enough, that I have not accomplished enough. But nothing will ever, or no one will ever love you the way that God loves you. And there's this innate desire on every human heart to know that we are wanted, to know that we are accepted, to know that we are loved in a total sort of way. And that comes from God. Ernest Hemingway, in his short story, The Capital of the World, tells the tale of a young man in Spain called Paco. Well, Paco and his father have a falling out. They have a great fight and an argument, and Paco runs away. Well, his dad does everything he can try to try and find him, but he's unsuccessful. And so Paco's dad, he takes out an ad in a newspaper in Madrid, and it just says this: "Dear Paco, all is forgiven. I love you. Meet me at the Hotel Montana on Tuesday at noon." Well, Tuesday noon rolls around, and 800 young men named Paco arrive at the Hotel Montana thinking that it was their dad who had written that note for him. You see, each one of them wants to receive and know the Father's love. And so too, each one of us wants to receive and know God the Father's love for us. And how easy it can be to throw ourselves into things that cannot love us the way that God loves us. How easy it can be to begin to view ourselves through the lens of the world. And to begin to think that I'm never actually going to be enough or have enough or be loved enough. But for us as Christians who have already received this identity as God's beloved sons and daughters, it is time for us to reclaim that. To know who we are and whose we are. And to do this makes us bulletproof in a very chaotic and an ever-changing world. That as I go through life, if I can always be reminded that I have already been given the love of God the Father, it does not mean I will have a perfect life, but it will mean that I have the perfect love of the one who made me. Because the fact of the matter is, when it comes to all of the different identities that we can claim for ourselves, if I truly want to know who I am, if I truly want to know who I am, I have to be looking to God to find out. That whenever the Creator is forgotten, the creature becomes unknowable. And we know how many different titles, how many different ways that we can begin to view ourselves or others can view us. But if I know the love of God, I will be stable, I will be secure in an ever-changing world. Friends, this is your identity, the identity that you were given before there was ever a single thing you could do to earn it. It is given. It is not achieved. And yet it is each one of our responsibilities to claim that identity, to be reminded of who we are and whose we are. And it is our responsibility to take care that there aren't other things, other relationships that become primary in our lives when it is our relationship with God as His sons and His daughters that ought to be primary. We have to do what a good friend of mine, he's been the basketball coach at St. Ambrose in Davenport for just about forever. He says you got to take care to watch out for your ego. You got to take care to watch out for your ego. All of the ways in which you seek to edge God out. All of the ways in which you are seeking to edge God out. All of those ways in which you are not seeking to live as God's son or as His daughter. All of those ways in which we seek at times to live independent of that primary relationship in our life. Let Jesus' example today of receiving the love of His Father spoken over Him be for each one of us a reminder of who we are and whose we are. We are God's sons, we are God's daughters, in whom He is well pleased.